Welcome to the Miind My Miind talk show.
Thank you, Guri. Thank you for inviting me once again. And I'm looking forward to today's topic in particular.
I know. I'm sure the viewers would also be looking forward to this topic, which is so important these days, on mental resilience. So welcome, dear viewers. We have Ms. Jas Bhatia with us, who's a neuropsychologist and has been a trainer, a coach, a counselor, a therapist for about over 15 years now. And let's hear her views on mental resilience. If you remember our last talk show, we promised to come back to you with this topic of mental resilience. So, Jess, what do you think is mental resilience in the first place?
Before that, welcome viewers, and it's going to be yet an interesting thing for you. We've heard be mentally resilient. Today we are looking at what mental resilience means, and everything else depends actually on Goody, the kind of questions she asks me. So let's start right there. What is mental resilience? You know what? I've realized one thing in life, which most of you must have realized by now, that life is a series of failure, success, failure, success, failure, success. So if you are in the same boat, which means if you are older to me or my age, you've definitely got that essence. In the 20s, the game is very different. People are like, I am the one who's going to change the world. I am the one who's bringing about a revolution. When you cross 20s or when you're nearing the end of 20s, you realize ain't happening. So after that, when you settle into the reality of life, into a serious set of consequences, when the going gets tough, how quickly you bounce back, that is mental resilience. वो rubber band होता है ना, उसको खींच के वो जितनी जल्दी वापस आ जाएगा, आपको लगता है ये rubber band अच्छा है, ये खरीद लेती हूँ. Correct? That's how you think? So if you have that tenacity that you can come back to the original shape very quickly, that for me is mental resilience.
Very beautifully explained, Jess, and very apt, because we start off through our teens as if, with all gusto. And by the time we get to our age, we are like lesser and lesser sure of ourselves and, just open to more experiences. But having said that, a lot of people during this phase of failure, success, actually just give up.
Yeah.
So, at least what I have seen in the corporate world, people interacting with all of us, we've seen a lot of people who have crumbled under this pressure, and it's very difficult to pull them out of it. So therefore, there is a need to build that resilience. I'm sure that is very clear to all of us. How do we do that? What are the key aspects of building mental resilience as we go through this phase?
Okay, so I get your question. Before that, I would like to touch upon something that you very beautifully portrayed right now. You beautifully gave a description of right now, which is that there are a lot of people that come down like a pack of cards the moment that failure comes in or the success is not as expected. Now, that is a definite category of people who are either highly expect things from life, they expect life to serve them, which is exactly what happened in school. Like there is a Harvard study, and if I will find, I'll send that to you. You can possibly attach it with this video for people to read. There is a study which says that 90%ers in school do mediocre in life, and the so-called mediocrity do well in life. So the 60-70%ers or the 50 to 70%ers are doing much better in life than the 90%ers. And guess what's the common thread? The 90%er has rarely tasted failure in school. So the resilience is not very high. Now, when you get to university, you go for your PG or your MBA, you realize that life is tough and I must buck up. I must race more. Few people get caught up in that. And few of us definitely realize that life will not go my way all the time. So people who are coming either from a lot of pain, wherein it was difficult to make their ends meet, or education was a challenge, relationships have been a challenge, they have a high sense of mental resilience, then people like us who are coming from a very cushiony background wherein all is taken care of, there is a difference there. Secondly, when you look at sports people, I know a sports person very dearly. I look at him, he's mentally extremely resilient. One of the fastest man of India during his times. He is so resilient. His life is definitely throwing challenges at him and keeps doing that all the time. But because of the strength that he built up during the years of his training in the field as a schoolboy and a university man, he has that resilience till date. So it is a mind shift, like a Mary Kom or a Bhag Milka Bhag, what got showed in the movies. It's coming from real life. So sports people, people who are coming from a lot of pain, have a lot of mental resilience built up. I would like to hear what you have to say to that, and then come to ways of building mental resilience.
So I think it's a very apt comparison, Jess. So one thing I realized that, as parents, it's very important for us as we bring up our children to kind of ensure that they know how to deal with failure. And to help them know how to deal with failure, we have to make sure that they fail first. So on that note, I think a very important thing is that we stop being pushy as parents for results, at least during the years where it doesn't matter. It's understandable if you're appearing for, a competition exam, but before that, it becomes very important for them to understand the importance of failing, because each one of us has to fail in life. That's something that each one of us needs to face. The second thing is the importance of sports in education, I think, is again very important. Having said that, once we graduate from school and we step into our work lives, a lot of this kind of gets pushed behind, because we get into that rut of competition, of making ourselves, of thinking the world of yourself, right? That is another phase where it's very important to make sure that people stay grounded. I think what is also important is to not let any small success get to our heads. Is that...
I think it's also about having that resilience as a society. Now, look at the society of today. With your kids, you are much more resilient, equivalent to open to the idea. If they say, Mom, I want to pursue fashion. That wasn't the case when you were growing up. So the society's resilience is changing a lot in terms of trying out new things. And this syndrome that parents have, I'm sorry, no offense meant to anybody. I'm not a parent. I don't understand your pain. At the same time, Gurit, I know, at Miind My Miind, we counsel so many parents when they actually want to get their children to counseling, saying that please stop treating your child as a trophy. And this is possibly one of the topics that we need to take up in near future. Your child is actually a gift to you. Let that child blossom in his or her own way. It is not about being perfect in everything. 100% everywhere is not important. And we got to teach them, you're right, that an inevitable event that happens regularly with all of us is failure. Not set them up for failure, but just prepare them, because if it comes through, then, I tell people, I wish my parents taught me a lot. Whoever I am is grace of them and my teachers. But I wish they told me that failure is natural. I had to learn it the hard way. I learned it when I started working. So if it is inbuilt in the system, it is all right. We will fall down and get up naturally, because ये तो होना ही था. इसमें क्या अलग हो गया? अब फेलियर आपके बच्चों को, जो 4-5-10 साल वाले बच्चे हैं, उनको फेलियर ही नहीं पता. उनको गिटार भी सीखना है, उनको स्विमिंग भी करनी है, उनको फुटबॉल भी करना है, उनको डांस भी सीखना है, उनको पढ़ाई में भी फर्स्ट आना है, उनको स्पोर्ट्स भी खेलने हैं. How? It is not gods and goddesses with 8 and 12 hands. I'm sorry.
So I just wanted to comment on the thing that, on one hand, if you say that the society is becoming more resilient because it is more open to different ideas today. At the same time, I see more and more people actually crumble. I mean, you look at it, the statistics around us today, that's, 76% Indians suffer from some mental health concern or the other. It's not a disease, but a concern, an issue, right? Which means we were not able to deal with those situations better. Now, if we compare these statistics globally also, the Indian statistics are way higher than the global statistics.
Okay. Yeah, because we've covered things up for a very long period of time, right? We never spoke about the issues that matter the most. Look at the resistance people have to mental health till date. Pagal thodi ho. The connotation is changing. A lot of times I tell people it's only changing for the rich. The real people who need help are still not coming forwards. And this is a real thing about the collapse that's happening in the society. And because people are not addressing their mental and emotional challenges, it is now being projected onto the next generation, saying you be perfect because I was not. But perfection is an illusion. It's a mirage. It doesn't exist in real. So I think the three factors, I would straight get on to the question that you asked, is that are we doing something physically, which we've already spoken about? So playing a sport definitely helps, or looking at what is your idea of physical exercise. Could be aerobics, could be dance, could be joining a membership somewhere, it could be going to the gym, could be martial arts. It's up to you. The second thing is, what are you doing for your emotional intelligence? Are you getting emotionally wise, or are you only aging? Or is it a way that you can look at doing things differently? Are you able to get to the bottom of your emotional being and address those things either yourself or with the help of community or with trained counselors and therapists? There's nothing wrong in that. And the third aspect is the mental aspect. What is happening here? It's not about having it's not about having a high IQ. It actually is about being able to solve problems, being able to think out of the box. We are not robots being manufactured in a factory. We are human beings designed to be unique and different. And the fourth, that encompasses everything, is what is my connection to myself, which I would call it as a spiritual quotient. What are you doing as a relationship building, bonding with self? Each time, do you say yourself, how stupid are you? Or do you say, hey, you know what, buddy? Good attempt. Let's just try it one more time. How do you talk to yourself? That is a spiritual quotient that I'm talking about here.
I think a lot of, small different needs, which we actually ignore, are being highlighted. Is what you meant. I'll start with a few things like, your emotional quotient, sports, of course, emotional quotient, your decision-making capabilities, understanding your own self as in, your own personality grooming, your self-esteem, your confidence. I think these are the basics that also help in building mental resilience, and that's what needs to be strengthened.
Absolutely. And I think to end all of this, I would just say 4 words, which is start slow, start sure. So build it up in a very small way, but surely build it up.
Absolutely. And to add to that it should ideally start from your childhood, but it's never too late to start at any point of time. So start today. There are a lot of workshops, a lot of self-help tools available, which will be able to build this. Please take the first step. Thank you, viewers, and thank you, Just. That was a very enlightening session, and I think very important tips for all of us to kind of adopt and work up to. Thank you, and we shall be back soon with our next topic. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.